Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the THW NHL News and Rumors Rundown for the weekend of April 3rd. Happy Easter weekend, everybody. My name is Jim Parsons. I'm here with the HockeyWriters.com. We've got tons of news and rumors to go through in regards to the NHL, the trade deadline, all sorts of crazy stuff. A couple of reminders. Go to the Hockey Radar at Twitter if you want to follow us on Twitter. You can go to the NHL News and Rumors page on the HockeyWriters.com. And then, of course, the Facebook.com/Hockey Raiders page to get all your news and rumors there. Okay, we're going to start with the Vancouver Canucks, because that's the biggest news of the week. The good news is the goaltender Thatcher Demko has extended for 5 years, $25 million. It's probably going to be a good deal for the Canucks eventually. It might be one of those things where maybe a little too soon, too early. He's not necessarily proven he's a perfect starter in the NHL yet, but he's got a really good chance to outplay in the 5 years and $5 million. Tanner Pearson's also a player that the Canucks are working with on an extension. It's not done yet, but the signs are looking good that could possibly be done here in the next little bit. There's some bad news out of Vancouver, though. Unfortunately, the COVID news has struck this team in a major way. There are 8 players added to the COVID protocol list. It started with Adam Gaudette and Travis Hamonic, and now there's a bunch of other names added. The really, really bad news here is that there's a Brazilian P1 variant involved in this whole thing, which means a number of players are quite sick. IVs coming in, doctors coming to their homes, all sorts of crazy stuff. It's really not good. We don't know what this is going to mean for delays, playoffs, implication, regular schedule, postponements. But our priority, obviously, is looking after the Canucks players and making sure that they're okay, but it doesn't look good. And there's probably going to be a number of names added to the list outside of the 8 that are already there. So our thoughts are going out to the Vancouver Canucks, hoping that everybody's going to be okay when all this is said and done. In the Philadelphia Flyers news, Shane Gostisbehere was waived last week. He cleared waivers. He will be placed on the taxi squad for the Flyers team. Gives them a little bit of cap flexibility for their salary, but more than that, roster flexibility. They can move some people around. They can make some changes. Moving him off of there gives the Flyers a chance to do some stuff. And maybe waiving him has woken up a couple teams to say, you know what, this guy's available for probably pretty cheap. Don't know if he'll be traded or not, but Gostisbehere moving through waivers, going on the taxi squad, does give the Flyers some chances to do some things before the trade deadline here. News out of Toronto. Frederik Andersen's injury still very much unclear. He's not made the Western road trip with the team. He's not supposed to be out long term. The Maple Leafs are confident that he will be back in time for the playoffs. They're not really hunting for a goalie on the trade market, although Elliot Friedman did say that general manager Kyle Dubas did contact the Buffalo Sabres to do his due diligence on a goalie like Linus Ullmark. No trade necessarily in the works there. In fact, probably not going to be a trade. As far as the goaltending goes for Toronto, Jack Campbell will be the guy. Frederik Andersen will probably be his backup. Hopefully he's back and ready to go. And then we'll see where that goes. But watch for Toronto. They're probably still going to make a move prior to the trade deadline, but the goaltending situation probably won't change. As far as the Edmonton Oilers go, a 5-year offer was tabled to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins that he declined. He wasn't interested in signing what they had presented to him, so the two sides are still going to be talking about things moving forward. It's not like this deal insulted Nugent-Hopkins so much that he's going to be leaving or anything like that. It's just one of those things where they sent the first offer out, he didn't really like it, and the two sides are just going to keep talking. Kyle Palmieri out of New Jersey, there's news there that he's playing well at the exact right time and upping his trade value prior to the trade deadline. Still talk that maybe he could work something out with the Devils, but negotiations aren't going very well. The likelihood is that he's traded, and some teams are quite interested. Boston might be among them. The New York Islanders might be among them. The Islanders are in a lot of people. Taylor Hall, Palmieri, Foligno out of Columbus, but Palmieri might be at the top of their list, so we'll see where that one goes. News on Taylor Hall. He is not probably going to fetch the first-round pick the Buffalo Sabres are asking. In fact, some general managers have said to be laughed off that asking price, and if they're going to even remotely look at this, a trade and sign situation might be out there, which means that he would be with the team that acquires him longer than just a rental. That's the only way that anybody's going to pay the asking price for him. Right now, he's only got 2 goals on the season, so it's really not looking good for Taylor Hall. Sam Bennett news. More than that, Calgary Flames news. Their loss to the Oilers on Friday probably suggests that they are sellers at the deadline. They're really out of reach now in the North Division. They're 5 games at hand, or 5 games behind Montreal, who has games at hand on them. They're 6 points back. This is probably not looking good. So expect Sam Bennett to probably be moved from Calgary. There's a name we've heard of. Brian Burke, he has said the Pittsburgh Penguins are looking for a couple pieces of center and potentially some team toughness. He didn't say necessarily what they would be willing to give up to do it, but he said that the second round pick that they have is not in play. They might have some depth on defense that they could move, but don't expect the Penguins to ask or to give too much in return to get what they're looking for. And the Seattle Kraken are starting to play a role in trade deadline discussions. Teams have reached out to Ron Francis asking, hey, if we're going to acquire this player, could we convince you not to take this guy or to take this guy? And Ron Francis has basically responded and said, look, the asking price for me to do that, it's going to be like a first-round pick and a prospect and maybe something else. So that's really changed the landscape of what some teams will do, because if you're going to be acquiring a player with term, you could have that player plucked off of your roster by Seattle, and that's not what people want to do. So how much are you willing to give up to land the player you need? And then you got to risk Seattle not taking them. So it could be expensive to add at the deadline if you're adding a player with term. So we'll see where that one goes. All right, that's going to do it for us this week, guys. Don't forget, check out the Hockey Writer Twitter, Facebook.com, the Hockey Writers, and then, of course, HockeyWriters.com with all your latest news and rumors. And we'll see you next week. Enjoy your Easter weekend, everybody. Keep our eyes and fingers crossed for the Vancouver Canucks as the players are dealing with this COVID stuff. Hopefully everything's okay. And we'll talk to you next week. Thanks, guys.